Yo, 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 I am back once again with another video, man. Wow. You already know what this movie, I shouldn't say review, but anyway, man, this is going to be, I guess you could say, my first impressions of Oppenheimer. Yeah, this is not going to be my, like I said, it's not going to be a full-fledged review. I guess when I upload it, who knows, I may count it as a review. I may just count it as first impressions. But anyway, I'm here to give my thoughts on the Oppenheimer movie that just came out this weekend. This is one of the movies I've been highly anticipating to see all this year, and it's finally out. Just got out the theater like 5 minutes ago, and I'm here to give my thoughts. Now, man, with this movie, it quite surprised me because I didn't expect the movie to go the way it did. You know, we all know Christopher Nolan, you know, when he does most of his movies, it contains, like, you know, science fiction, you know, it delves into like time travel and stuff like that. Real interesting and deep concepts. And, you know, with him, you know, depicting, you know, this Oppenheimer movie, you know, going back to the events of World War II and the atomic bomb, you know, when I first saw the trailer, I got the impression that this was going to be more so based on, I guess, the science of, you know, creating this atomic bomb. And while you watch the movie, while yes, they do delve into the science of it, but that's not really what most of the movie's about. Most of this movie is about like the investigation of J. Oppenheimer, like, I guess you could say the government investigated Oppenheimer because they felt like he was an agent, and they felt like he kind of like gave the Soviets some information. So yeah, it's based pretty much on that. That's just like the rough gist of it. This movie is quite interesting, to say the least, because it's not told in like a linear fashion from like start to finish. It kind of like, it seems like it jumps all around all throughout the movie. The movie just seems to jump around so much to where it's like, you know, I'm trying to figure out like what the hell is going on most of the time. But the way how the storytelling is in this movie is really disjointed. You know what I mean? You have certain sequences that happen, you know, in the beginning of the movie, and then towards like the middle and the end, it starts fleshing itself out. And then you get to see like the very beginnings of what you saw in the beginning of the movie, like what led up to what you saw in the beginning. So it's kind of like told, there's parts of this movie where it's kind of like told from end to start. And then there's other parts to where you see like the story of, you know, J. Oppenheimer planning the atomic bomb, and him and his team of scientists planning this atomic bomb. It's a very, like I said, it's a very disjointed movie, and this movie is like 3 hours long. So it jumps around a lot, man. And one of the things I didn't really like about it was it just seems like they just didn't really focus on one particular scene and just say, okay, this is one scene from start to finish. It just seems like, okay, one scene for 2 seconds, and then it jumps to the next scene, and it jumps back to the next scene. And even when characters are talking, going through their dialogue, they're jumping back and forth. It's a quite interesting style. You know, watching Christopher Nolan, like previous movies, he never done a movie like this before, to where it jumps around so much. So it kind of caught me off guard, man, because I was just like, man, this movie is just so jumpy. Like, it's just, you know what I mean, with the editing and stuff like that. There are, you know, there are a few cool scenes in this movie where, you know, you get into the mind of Oppenheimer, like when he's being investigated, like you feel like, you know, like the pressure is coming down on him, and it kind of like zooms in on him, and like around him it's like this bomb going off, you know what I mean? But of course nobody else hear it. It's all in, you know, Oppenheimer's head. You know, this is what, like the feeling that he's getting right now. One of my favorite scenes was like more so towards the beginning when he's being investigated and asking about, you know, him and his affair with his wife, and, you know, he has his mistress that he's messing around with. And like, you know, while he's being interrogated, you know, they ask him about that. His wife is actually in the room with him. And like, they show him in the interrogation scene, having sex with, his mistress. But, the thing is with that is, like I said, it's all in kind of like his world. You know what I mean? Of course. So that's how he's feeling at the moment. He kind of feels embarrassed. He's sitting there, doing his thing with the mistress and all of that, but it's all in his head. You know what I mean? It's all how he feels at that moment. And I kind of like that sort of style, like depicting, okay, you could easily just get a feel of the room and kind of get a feel of what he's feeling at that moment, but to actually show it like that, like, okay, yeah, I kind of feel the embarrassment for him at this point by actually showing that, showing it in that particular way. It's definitely an interesting take. And they did it a couple of times throughout the movie, certain scenes where, you definitely see how Oppenheimer's feeling by what's going on around him in his head. You know what I mean? So I kind of like that approach. I wouldn't say this movie's not a bad film. Don't get me wrong. It's not a bad film overall, but I feel like it's one of those movies to where I have to watch again. I have to watch it for a second time, maybe a third time, to really get the full understanding of it. Because like I said before, this is not a movie that's told in linear fashion. It's kind of like jumping all over the place. You have to kind of like connect the dots. It's very very quick and very fast. So you kind of have to like pay attention to everything that's going on. Certain characters, you're like, okay, who's this? Who's that? You kind of get a rough idea of who that character is, but overall it's just like, I'm not really too sure what this character is and, how he relates to Oppenheimer and what's going on. And it could be a lot to take in. So I think those are like my quick overall thoughts. I know I was like bouncing all over the place, but this movie, that's how this movie is. It bounces all over the place like that. So yeah, I think I'm going to give it a second watch, and I want to do like my full review once I fully understand what the hell is going on. But like I said before, it's not a bad movie at all. Don't get me wrong. It's not bad at all. It is quite interesting, but it wasn't what I was expected this movie to be. I thought that they were going to delve more so into the science of the atomic bombs and how the atomic bombs are created. That's what I was looking forward to. You know what I mean? Because I love when Christopher Nolan goes into like science fiction and him, breaking down certain concepts and, like how we saw in Interstellar and Inception and movies like that, where you have a concept of like time travel, a concept of dreams, and then he just goes all deep into it. It just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. That's what Christopher Nolan does best, in my opinion. And I thought that this film was gonna kind of be like that, to where he goes into the science of the atomic bomb and, goes into, breaking down atoms and stuff like that, and really going over different scientific theories and all of that. That's what I was expecting, man. That's why I was just like waiting to see, but ultimately it wasn't that. It was a totally different film. But like I said, overall, it's still quite interesting, man. And I'm going to definitely give it a second watch, maybe a third watch, and do a actually more proper review. So those are like my quick thoughts on Oppenheimer. And yeah, man, till my next one, man. Bow.